If you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you have heard me say that you need to make simple games first. Rather than making the next jailbreak, making your dream game as your first game, you've got to start small. You've got to make a game like Hot Potato or Freeze Tag or a simulator or an obby. Something simple to get yourself going, to build skill, and also to earn money to fund better games as you progress in your career. But how do you actually go about making these simple projects? How do you go from being somebody who knows nothing about Roblox Studio, or very little, to making your first simple games and releasing them on Roblox? Well, that's exactly what we're going to go over today, and I'm going to show you the steps you can take to release your first simple games on Roblox. So let's get into it. So first of all, we've been talking a lot about Roblox development career strategy and how all of the different monetization methods link together, how you can learn a skill and then start monetizing that skill and then progress on to making games. Now, some people will not want to do commissions or not want to do UGC or not want to start dev content. They don't want to do any of that. They want to dive straight into making game. And I don't blame you, right? Making games is awesome. And I'm sure every developer wants to make their own game at some point. Now, if you want to make your own game, the first and most important thing that you must do is learn scripting. If you don't have any of these other skills, you don't know how to build, you don't know how to model, you don't know how to make UI, you don't know how to make VFX, GFX, animations, or music, right? You don't even know how to do game design, project management, marketing, or you're still going to be able to make a full game, finish it, and release it. That is the beautiful thing about scripting. It's the only skill that lets you make full functional games if that is all you know and all you're familiar with. The reason why is because scripting is what makes games function. With just builds, all you have is a map. But with just scripting, you still have a functional game. You might be able to script a game where all you do is jump around with guns on a base plate and shoot each other. But that's still a game, right? A build, a map, like a simulator map, if it doesn't have any scripts in it, if it doesn't have any functionality, it's not a game. So scripting is an incredibly powerful skill to learn for this reason. And if it's all you know, you're still going to be in a good position as a developer. Now, of course, in order to make your first simple games, you're probably going to have to learn a little bit of building and modeling and UI design. But you can go by with solid scripting skills and very little knowledge in all these other skills and do just fine and make some decent simple games. So that's the first step, is to learn scripting. Now, second step. The second step is to come up with a game idea. Now, we're also talking a lot about passion versus strategy. Part of strategy is being able to look at the market and ask yourself, what does the market want? Most new developers are far too focused on passion. And what is passion all about? Passion is all about yourself. So they ask themselves, what do I want to make? What do I love? Now the problem is, if we want to get results, goal, results, players, and Robux, you got to ask yourself, which one of these are we better off choosing? Am I better off following strategy and making what the market desires? Or am I better off making what I want to make and what I love? Now, the problem is, if we make what we love, there isn't a guarantee that the market will want it as well. So this means that if we want to have the highest chance to get results, we need to follow strategy. Now, the question becomes, how do I figure out what the market wants? Well, the way that we figure this out is look at what's already successful. You're going to go on Roblox and just look, okay, what is big right now? Well, Grow a Garden is doing incredibly well. It's the #1 game on Roblox right now. So obviously, they're doing something right. So we're going to look at Roblox and we're going to figure out, okay, what do people want? What are people playing? And we're gonna see, oh look, a lot of people are playing Steal A games right now, okay? So this is a trend. We're gonna take note of trends, but it doesn't just have to be trends, it can also be memes, right? There's new memes pop up on TikTok all the time. It could also be popular genres, right? You can look at what has done well on Roblox for a long time. Things like roleplay games, simulators. Then look at what is succeeding right now in these genres, right? So we're gonna look overall at what the market wants. And the way you do that is you look at what's successful and you model after that. Now, does this mean that you don't inject any creativity into what you're doing at all? Do you not inject any uniqueness at all? No, but adding in your own passion and your own interests and your own creativity is secondary, at least right now when you're making these simple games, right? So after you choose one of these, right, you can come up with a new idea. You can mix in some of your passion. Put strategy first, because usually when you're new, your passion is not going to be well aligned with player desire. All right, next, plan out your game. So what you're going to want to do is write the concept, a basic overview of the game idea, the main objectives in the game, and how it's played. Then plan out the core loop. And I'm not going to go that deep into it, but core loop basically includes what you do repeatedly in the game and how it's rewarded. A core loop is made up of your minute-to-minute player interaction, the most repeated set of actions, and the progression, which basically means how is the player interacting with the game, what are they repeatedly doing, and then how is that rewarded, and then that process repeats. And the core loop is fundamental to how every game works. Every game has a loop, no matter how complex the game is. Whether you're talking about Skyrim or you're talking about a clicker simulator on Roblox, there's always a core loop. There's always interaction with the game world. There's always actions that you repeatedly take, and there are always rewards. So in a simulator, that looks like exploring the map. That is the interaction. Clicking, right? If we're talking about a clicker simulator, clicking the screen. And then the reward is when you click enough and you gain enough coins, you're able to upgrade your clicking power and make it so you get more coins for each click. Very basic core loop for your average clicker simulator on Roblox. Your core loop can be more complex than this, but just keep it in mind that there's always going to be that repeating set of actions that your player takes, repeated set of rewards, repeated set of interactions with the game. And just keep in mind that there is always a core loop in every single game, and that loop is always repeating. So after you plan out the concept and the core loop, then you want to plan out the main systems you'll need to script. All right, you'll want to write those down, and then you'll want to plan out the art style and map design. And in all of this, you want to prioritize simplicity. Again, we're making simple games first. So that means that we got to keep everything simple. Keep your project scope small, right? You're going to get a lot of ideas during this process. You're going to think, oh, I want to add all this stuff. We're making freeze tag, but I want to add a lava gun. I want to add monsters that suddenly show up on the map. Oh, I decided I don't want to make the map a small map. I want to have an open world map, and I want to make it full of terrain and trees and forests and cities and all this stuff. Okay, you need to chill for a second, like chill. You can write those ideas down, but you need to put these ideas aside and prevent your game from getting too complex, because it can be very tempting to add all these cool ideas because we want to add a bunch of cool stuff to our game. But you have to remember, even though creativity is great, it can lead to too much complexity. And that's the one thing that we're trying to avoid. We're putting that simplicity above everything else. All right, so the final thing to plan, right, is to plan out the monetization. So how are you going to use game passes, developer products, and subscriptions? And I wouldn't even focus on subscriptions. I would mainly just focus on these two. Do subscriptions when you're making more complex games later. So after you have all this basic stuff planned out, right? Like we are making this so simple. This is kind of your game design document, but this is a very basic, stripped down version of a game design document. And that's what we want, right? We're prioritizing simplicity. That means we're also going to make a simple GDD too. So we're not going to go all crazy like we're planning out the next Overwatch or Fortnite, right? We're trying to make a AAA game. Don't do that. Keep everything simple. Keep your project scope small. Also keep your game design document itself small. The next step, number 4, okay? Turn your plan into a Trello board. So a Trello board, take all your planning and turn it into a to-do list. Turn your game from an idea into individual tasks, right? So what we're doing is we're taking our idea and we are chunking it down. We're turning it into individual pieces. So system, build, model. Okay, so go to the website called Trello and make your board. So take all the systems, put those into a scripting section of your Trello board. So add a list, right? Systems, and then do the main builds, models, game passes, your monetization, and then fill these in with all of the different things that you need to make to complete your game. Say you have a simulator, you're probably gonna need a currency system, pet system, etc., right? Fill in all the things that you will need in order to complete your game idea. So now, after you've turned your plan into a Trello board and you've broken down all the tasks that need to get done, now you're gonna be able to start building the actual game in Studio. So first, you're gonna want to make the primary systems. So what are the main things that are gonna go into making your game function, making it playable? Right? So in a shooter, the main system is obviously the gun system. So you're gonna put making the primary systems first, right? We're trying to make a playable, finished, simple project that we can put out on Roblox.com. So we wanna make the systems first, because if all we have is the functionality, if all we have is the scripting, we have a playable game, right? Even if we're on a base plate, if we have guns and we can shoot each other and we have a kill count, we have a game. Isn't that awesome? That's the great thing about scripting. That's why I said, learn scripting above all else if you're trying to make simple games and you're trying to get them out there on Roblox.com. If you're gonna get by with just one skill, make it scripting, because that's gonna be the only skill that will allow you to make entire games if all you know how to do is just that. Assuming you don't have a ton of money, because the only other option would be to be a game designer and project manager from the get-go. But most devs don't start with 3 million Robux in their account or $20,000 inside their bank account to fund a bunch of games and pay a whole dev team. And then also, you still would need experience in order to do that. You would still need expertise. You would still be better off if you had made games in the past, even worked on other roles, before you start funding your own projects, doing game design, project management, and then just investing in games and being an ideas guy, being an entrepreneur. That requires you to also have experience to be able to be good at that in general, right? So even if you're rich, probably not best to jump into game design and project management right away. Now, after you make the primary systems that the game needs to work, you want to then make the minimum build, models, and UI needed to get the game out there. And finally, add in monetization. That is step 8. So add that in, script all game passes. Final step, number 9, make a good icon and thumbnail. Preferably pay someone on X well-versed in GFX or art to do it. Using AI can work, but in general, right now, a human is going to make a better icon and thumbnail. It can, if done poorly, which usually it is, make your game look lower quality and lower effort from the outset. This guy didn't even make his own icon and thumbnail. I'll bet the game sucks too. That's what a lot of people will think. Now, I'm somebody who's not against AI. I think AI is a great tool, a great thing. So I'm surprised these words are coming out of my mouth. But it's true, because for games at least, people want to see a good icon and thumbnail. And I think you can use AI for it, but if you don't do it well and it looks like it's blatantly AI, right? People are going to be deterred from your game. It makes it look lower quality. But if you can properly use AI in a way where it doesn't even look like AI and nobody can tell, which you can if you're smart about it, like if you give AI some reference images, etc., give it some examples of good Roblox icons and thumbnails first, feed that into it to inspire from, then AI is going to give you a lot better of a result if you know how to properly work it. But most people don't. So I'm going to say for most people, don't use AI, go and hire somebody. And if you don't have the Robux to hire somebody to make a good icon and thumbnail, go and take commissions or do another money-making method to earn enough to pay someone. Or learn GFX and graphic design or art yourself and do it yourself. Just know that's going to take more time and effort. You'll get your game out faster if you just hire someone. Plus, it'll probably be better. All in all, it's higher leverage to hire someone for GFX. And usually the first person that you're ever gonna hire as a Roblox developer is a GFX artist. Somebody who designs your thumbnail or designs your icon for your game. So, congratulations, right? Welcome to your first step into project management over other people and of investing into your own games. That's very powerful. Now, after you have an icon, advertise. Best way? Sponsors on Roblox. That's the best way for most people to advertise their game when it first comes out. Now, a lot of you are gonna say, but Smarty, I don't have any money. You gotta go find a way to make some then. So go to my video, click the link up here, right? That's the video that'll show you how to make money from your Roblox development skills. Take some commissions, make some dev content, make dev assets, make UGC, sell a plugin, do something that'll make you some money, and then take those funds, use it to pay for ads on Roblox. Now, when you're doing your ads, you want to spend very little and test a small amount of Robux on ads. And I know it's in ad credits now. Just take this as the equivalent in ad credits because I don't know exactly how they convert. So say 1,000 Robux on ads, test that out for say around 3 days, right? Somewhere around there, do 1,000 Robux. Then see how the icon and thumbnail do. See if people play. Track click-through rate. That's just what's the percentage of people who see my thumbnail that actually click on it. And then also track game analytics and see how players enjoy the game by playing it with them. Track feedback. Then optimize and tweak until optimal, or decide to go all in and start spending 5K Robux per day minimum on ads to actually get it out there. Do this for 5 days minimum, preferably around 2 weeks, right? Everything I'm saying is just a ballpark, so take it as a guess, right? This is just in general, a rule of thumb, but you can do as however much Robux you want, but generally you want to start small. And then after you've tested that game in the market of Roblox, tested the icons, tested the thumbnails, tested how well the game does, how good are the analytics, how good is it doing in the market. If it's doing well, then start spending more. But only then do you start spending, say, 5K Robux a day on ads minimum. If you can't spend this much, right, go back to square one. Start earning enough money to spend money on ads. A lot of people come to me, they're like, Smarty, how do I advertise my game when I'm broke? Well, honestly, you don't have that many options. You can get YouTubers to promote your game, but that's gonna take a lot of outreach. You're gonna have to reach out to them, and a lot of YouTubers who are big will ignore you. I personally ignore a ton of people because I get so many DMs and it's hard to reply to everybody. It's not personal, but that's just how it is. YouTubers don't have the time, right? And it does help if you give value, like you say, hey, I'm gonna put a free pet in the game, just want you to check it out, etc. Play it in a video for a few minutes. But even then, right, it's hard. So yeah, if you have no money, find a way to get money. Watch the video that again, I'll link it right there again for you in the top right-hand corner. You can click that video and you can learn how to make money from your Roblox development skills and then get around 20,000 Robux, 30,000 Robux minimum. And then you can use that to start marketing your game. So this is basically how you get a simple game out there. So we're talking about a simple game that has everything. We're not just talking about a simple game you make for practice. We're talking about a simple game that you make to get players and earn Robux. Now, something that you might point out is, well, Smarty, for my very first game, maybe I shouldn't try to make money off of it. Maybe it should be just for practice. And I 100% agree. So you might make a few simple games, but don't monetize them. And you're just practicing. You're just learning scripting. You're just building up your skills, learning modeling, learning UI design, learning how to make games in the first place. You might do that. You might make a few obbies, you might make a few simulators with no intention to get results from them at all. That's fine. You can do that for, say, 3 games, but then at a certain point, you got to start trying to get actual results. You got to start being pragmatic, start trying to get players and Robux, because when you aim towards those goals, that's when you start taking those bold actions that will actually push your career forward. If you don't have those goals, you don't have ambition. So that's why I tell people, hey, that's what makes a serious developer, is the aim to make money. It makes you somebody who's more driven, who's more hardworking, and somebody who actually tries to get their games out there, rather than just making something they love, but never caring if anybody else ever comes to love it as well. Not caring if you actually get players on your game. It's very important to care about those things. So you can get this document in the description. If you want to learn scripting and you want to learn more about all the things I'm talking about, how to be a successful developer, join Scripting Secrets below, my course. A ton of people have told me they learned scripting super quickly from this, right? Especially the basics. People were like, I got the basics down faster than any other method. I tried tutors, I tried videos, I tried all this stuff, but only Smarty's Scripting Secrets got me to learn it fast and be able to make games and make scripts without the help of anybody else, without a tutorial. So I'm glad to hear that from people, and I hope that I can help you to do the same things. And then click the video on screen to learn more about Roblox development career strategy and learn how to monetize your skills, because as we discussed, so many devs have zero money. A lot of you guys are young, so you don't have money to spend, right? Something you can do beyond doing the methods that you're gonna hear about in the video on screen is you can also get a job. Even if you're very young, you could absolutely get a part-time job, and then you could use the money you make from that to fund your Roblox projects. So that's a very creative idea. All right, see you next video.